Seven normal habits I don't do to respect my energy and to have both success and fulfillment in my life. I'm excited to be here talking with you about this topic today because, as I mentioned, these are very normalized habits that many of us are doing on a regular basis or encountering in our lives every day and have no idea that it's actually draining our energy. Or we may be realizing we don't want to be doing it, but it's just so, again, normalized or such a habit. Everyone is doing it around us. And so we end up doing it too. Hi, my name's Audra, and I am a therapist turned life coach and brand new to this YouTube channel, This Radiant Woman. And I'm so excited to be expanding my work out from the therapy room and in private sessions with clients, and bringing it more here for people so I can help more people and really get this information out in the world. As I mentioned, I'm a therapist. I've been working as a therapist for the past 9 years, and I specifically work with women and often working with high achieving, driven women who really want success in all areas of their life. They often are um, dealing, they might find themselves in burnout, overgiving. They really have big hearts and they have big missions that they want to bring into the world where they're finding themselves draining their energy in places or overgiving, burning out, and they're just really not able to um, do the things or have the impact that they're wanting to have, or they've reached a kind of a ceiling where they're wanting to go to their next level and they're not really sure how to do that. And so these seven habits are really going to be great for you to check in and see if this is something that you are doing that's really is part of your day that is draining your energy. And in my experience, the women that I often work with and that are attracted to my work deep down really know, if they're honest with themselves, these are things that they don't enjoy doing, they don't like to be doing, but it's just something that's so normal and natural that's around them that they end up engaging in it anyway. So let's jump in. So number one is venting just to vent. How many times have we called our friends, something's happened, and we want to immediately text or call our friends, share it on social media, um, and before we know it, we've told four or five people, or it's something that we've been talking about all day. And if we're venting, this is something that's usually frustrating us or something that isn't really going well, or right, it's not something that's just flowing through our day and we're happy to be sharing. It's something that we're frustrated about or that's like bringing us down. And so, uh, you know, the intention with that is we think if we're expressing it or getting it out, that that's going to help us feel better. Where that really is only the case in that first moment or two. Maybe we feel a brief relief that we've got it out, but not really, because then we find ourselves telling the next person and the next person, and we're really just making that thing bigger than what it is and having it take over kind of our whole day, mood, etc., all of our interactions, rather than focusing on the things that we want to be focusing on. And so, really be mindful of when I call or text somebody and I share this and I'm venting, what am I getting out of that? What is it really doing? And does it actually make me feel better? Or is that something where I might be, right, even checking in the comments or the responses that we get? Often we notice, right, people will feed into that. People will also agree with us. And it really just kind of, um, builds the momentum, but in the negative way, right? In that venting of that thing that we didn't even really want to happen in our day. And so this is such a big one. And I think it's really important to recognize, what are we really trying to do to vent? Now, that this doesn't mean that um, that we're not going to get support or talk about challenging things in our life. But there is a difference in venting to vent and getting support or clarity by talking with somebody about a challenge so that we can come to a solution. So one is really just there to kind of put that energy out, into the world and essentially amplify it, which is a negative energy or a frustrating energy, versus we're talking about it in a very intentional way because we're trying to work through to a solution, or we're wanting to get clarity on how maybe for that not to happen again. So, are we ready for number two? Number two is gossip. So, this one is one that really is something I've never really enjoyed and something I think is just so common. Of course, I've engaged in this, I've done this, we all have, but it's something that really it just doesn't feel good, right? And I thought of a story and an example of this, thinking about when you go to your hairstylist. How many of you have ever been to your stylist and you're getting your hair done and your stylist starts talking to you about maybe their previous client or one of their challenging clients and negative talking about them. And I don't know about you, but that's just really a turnoff for me and really just kind of makes me feel a little insecure or worried like, okay, well, when I leave, are they going to be talking about me to the next person, right? So it just doesn't really build trust with the people you're talking about. So you may be sharing information about somebody else, but the person that you are sharing that with also is going to be considering, well, whatever we talk about, is that something that then you're talking about to other people? So just recognizing when we gossip, whether we are initiating, engaging in that conversation, or we are. Uh, the ones that's receiving that information and just allowing and kind of continuing to engage in that, we're still part of that dynamic. And either way, we may be concerned about, or that's going to affect the trust that we have in that relationship. It's also going to impact the depth of that relationship. So, really, the types of things that we're talking about versus just keeping it kind of that surface level, talking about again, this could go back to the first one, venting and things that we're frustrated about, or, the person that this thing happened with, and we might be gossiping, or the latest news we heard about somebody. So, really something to consider about how this is affecting your energy and ultimately not respecting your energy, whether you're initiating or engaging in gossip. So, number three, watching the news every day. Now, this one may be controversial, and right, there's so much going on in the world right now. It's, of course, very important to stay informed and, be aware of what's happening where we are inundated with information, media, news, all the different platforms. It's coming at us in all the different directions 24/7, right? So, it's always accessible, right? So being able to be aware and stay informed, it's something we can access. But if we are watching the news every single day, multiple times throughout our day, reading the news stories that pop up on our social media feed, actually turning on the news, we are being bombarded with information. And I don't know if you realize, but the news really doesn't cover a whole lot of feel good, happy stories. Most of it is really about the tragedies and the devastation that are occurring, whether that's locally or throughout the world. And that's a lot to take in, right? That is a lot for our bodies and nervous systems to process. And really, right? It drains our energy. So, really thinking about this is a normal habit, right? Even in our interactions with people, to be talking about what's going on in the world and just to bring this to our awareness so we can check in and say, okay, is this something where I'm staying informed and being aware? Or is this something where it's just literally, you know, funneling through my system on an ongoing basis, keeping me in a state that feels very aroused or elevated in not such a good a way. So, number four is blaming someone or something something else for our problems. Now, this again might be a controversial one or might sting a little because let's be honest, we've all had our moments, and this is something, as a human that comes up. So this has been a challenge for me at times, and it's natural that this can come up, but it's really important that we can be aware. Again, bringing that awareness of when we might be or something else for our problems or for our unhappiness, even. When we do this, we may not realize that uh, we're actually robbing ourselves of that opportunity. And so, right, we're quick to kind of say, it was this person and they did this, and that's why I'm feeling this certain way. Or even feel justified, that we've been wronged by somebody else or something isn't going right, whether it's our job, employer, partner, friend, whatever it is, where that opportunity we're talking about that I mentioned is information for ourselves, right? So if we're upset about something or something isn't going the way that we'd like it to, that's information. That's information for us to take and to be able to apply, when we're doing it again or when we're in that situation again, so that, we can have a different outcome, so that it can go a different way. When we blame others or something else outside of ourselves, that's where it usually ends, right? We stop there. We've kind of pinpointed that it's that, and we don't ask any more questions. We don't further inquire with ourselves about it. And so that's the opportunity we're missing, which is the real information, the real gold nuggets that's going to help us change our lives, that's going to help us have keep our energy high, keep our energy clean, and not be leaking it out in all the different places where we're having challenges through our life. So something really to consider, and just notice the next time that comes up, and uh, maybe take a moment and see if I can step back and say, okay, what else is it? Right? Like, let that be okay. We might be upset about something, but we can really check in and ask ourselves questions to figure out our part in that situation, or things maybe we want, how we want to handle it differently, so that that's not happening the same way again. Number 5, trying to do everything all by yourself. And I don't know about you, but as a very driven, high achieving woman, independent woman, this is something that I've really had to work at, to recognize that it is okay and necessary to receive help and accept help from others, and to um, allow that to be a team effort, recognizing that I don't have to do everything, even if I know how to do something. Right. And that how good that can feel and how rejuvenating that can feel to our energy when we have support, when we have a team that's handling things, whether this is in our job, at our team. A lot of the women that I work with are in leadership roles, so they're managing teams, they have colleagues, or if it's at home, right, managing our households, whether you have children, your partner, other family members, just recognizing that you don't have to do it all by yourself. And what I've noticed is that for women, especially in this category that I'm mentioning, it can come from more of a place we're trying to prove that we know something, prove our competence, prove our worth, that we uh, can do, rather than recognizing that even if I do know how to do something, it's okay. The other person may know how to do it as well, and I can allow that help into my life. Such a big difference in keeping our energy high and really respecting my energy, and not just letting myself drain and be burnt out. Because let's be honest, if I'm burnt out, I can't really show up in the people, in the places I want to in my life, anyways. So, number 6 is relying on external validation. And just notice that I said relying on, because as humans, we of course are going to have some validation and some, right? Again, we're in relationship. We thrive by having relationships and community as human. So we're going to have some of that externally. Where what I've noticed in where we're at today is most of us are relying on that, or we're seeking externally, and we haven't really developed that muscle, or ability to validate ourselves, to be the one, you know, that we can, you know, because we said it, like it's okay, that we don't have to get that from someone else. It's as if we're going out for a permission slip or waiting for somebody else to say, yeah, that's okay, instead of really trusting our internal guidance and knowing that that's what we need to be doing. And so, really be mindful of where, in what areas of our lives, and maybe to who we go to, relying on that validation versus giving ourselves a moment to reflect on ourselves, ask ourselves what our own opinion is, and really validate that, so then we can move forward with whatever we're doing. Number 7, expecting us not to. And so this one is such a big one. We could have a whole topic on it, but just recognizing where I might be expecting that no one else in my life or in no other place, is something happening that is, when I say trigger me or ruffling my feathers, getting me upset in some way, right? Throwing me my game of, my game plan of my day of what I'm doing because we encountered a comment on social media, or an interaction with a coworker or our partner, whatever it might be, recognizing that it is not other people's responsibility not to ever trigger us. And as I mentioned in one of the earlier ones, when we do this, we are robbing ourselves of the opportunity to get information to help us to understand more about what it is said or about that situation that is bringing feelings, or internal conflict within ourselves. And so really recognizing when we do that, and that's information to help us learn about ourselves, about the things that essentially um, get us triggered. And so while want to have strong boundaries, and that's something I'll be talking about in videos, we need to recognize when we are expecting absolutely no one else to do that, because the reality is that's impossible. There are so many people, if we're encountering on a daily basis because of the media, that's impossible. Every bit of energy we have putting out every fire or trying to set a boundary that so that somebody upset us, and that's really a trap. And so just recognizing where we might be expecting that, or even recognize how you might be acting or reacting when that comes up. And next time, and then, being able to pause. So the next time that that happens, and then giving ourselves a moment to ourselves to really reflect on that and ask ourselves some questions, maybe journal and figure out what it is that was so bothersome from there. And again, I'll be talking more about things, how we can be doing this, setting boundaries, all of these things in future videos. But for today, these are 7 things, habits that I wanted to touch on that really isn't a way to respect our energy and really isn't going to help us if we're wanting to have success and fulfillment in our life, especially with big dreams and big goals in her to impact this world positively. So enjoyed this video, please subscribe and stay tuned for more videos to come. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Hey, just wanted to come in and acknowledge the bit of connection issues there at the end of the video. I know it got a little spotty, so I did put the 1 through 7 habits in the description box for you so you can catch that. I believe it cut off the number 7 a little bit. And just want you to know I'll be working on that. I'm a newbie to YouTube, so kind of just figuring everything out, but I look forward to seeing you guys again soon and wanted to be sure to get you this information out to you anyway.